a lock of Elvis Presley's hair could sell for thousands at auction. Elvis Presley's strands of dark hair from the legendary singer who took the world by storm in the 1950s are set to go under the hammer in a music memorabilia sale at Hanson's Auctioneers in November with a price of £4,000 to £6,000. The hair was collected by one of the star's hairdressers, Homer Gilliand, and attached to a souvenir card which states, "This card contains a lock of hair from the king of rock and roll as cut by Mr. Gill of Memphis. Memories of which in future years, yours, they will always be, Elvis 1935 to 1977. It's being sold together with a racquetball racket used by Elvis by 75-year-old lifelong fan and retired building site manager Tom Unwin from Kids Grove, Stoke. He said, "I bought the hair about 10 years ago and the racket in 2002 from a man who was running an Elvis fan club I belonged to. I've been a huge Elvis fan since I was 15. I've collected memorabilia all my life, everything you can imagine to do with Elvis. I've been to his home in Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee a few times and met members of his band and his wife, Priscilla Presley. She was fantastic. I'm selling now because I've had so much enjoyment from showing my Elvis memorabilia to friends over the years. I would like others to experience that same enjoyment." According to a letter of providence, with Elvis's hair, Homer Gilliand, known as Mr. Gill or Gill, got to know Elvis in the early 1950s as he used to cut his mother Gladys Presley's hair at Goldsmith's department store in Memphis. The letter states, "Mr. Gill cut Elvis's hair on tour, movie sets, and at Graceland. Mr. Gill went to Graceland to cut Elvis's hair, but he would wrap up the towel with his hair, and when he got home, he would have the hair and place it in a plastic bag." Over the years, Mr. Gill collected a sizable amount of hair. After Elvis passed away, he would give a few strands to fans taped to a card. When Mr. Gill couldn't work anymore, he had to begin to sell it. The letter, which explains the chain of ownership of the hair, says a baseball-size amount of Elvis's hair sold for $125,000, 94,833 pounds. The lot also includes a copy of Homer's Air Travel Card International showing both his name and that of his employer, Elvis. Homer could jet off at Elvis's expense. The star needed a haircut. The racquetball racket, which also had a guide price of £4,000 to £6,000, comes with a letter of providence from Lamar Fike, a member of Elvis's famed inner circle called the Memphis Mafia. Mr. Unwin said, "When I first bought the racket, I realized its letter of providence was a copy and, after raising this with the seller, received a message to call Lamar in America. He was really kind and sent me a personal letter which states that the racket was given to him by Elvis's father the day after the star died in August '77. Lamar and Elvis had played many a match with it. He had a racquetball court at Graceland." Claire Howe, music memorabilia valuer at Hanson, said, "What incredible Elvis mementos these are, treasured by a true fan for many years. Hair has always been a wonderful keepsake, as it lasts forever. For any Elvis fan, here's an opportunity to own a little piece of the legend more than 40 years after his premature death at the age of 42. Elvis is the king of rock and roll. He was one of the most talented and charismatic singers of all time, a cultural icon of the 20th century. He had an enormous impact on the music industry and became famous as an actor, starring in many films. But his hair has had an impact on the world too. He was renowned for paying great attention to his famous looks, which were actually blonde. At the time when men didn't dye their hair, he used gel, hairspray, color, whatever it took to achieve his rockabilly look. The girls swooned, and thanks to Elvis, a hair salon for men opened in Hollywood. Unheard of back then. He was a groundbreaker in more ways than one.
The world is filled with stories going viral every single day. But how many of these sites can you actually follow? We understand that your day should start with positive stories, stories that resonate with you. And so we started JoJo Stories. Our mission is to create meaningful stories that cover everything from animals to anthropology, history to environment and lifestyle. The kind of content you read on our site will be one you'll want to share with your family and friends. We hope you'll join our growing family and be part of our community. Welcome to JoJo Stories. JoJoStories.com.